Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is October the 16th, 2025. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. We're going to say on the overall, I'm doing pretty good. We'll get into it. But hopefully, yes, you had a good day. Hopefully Thursday treated you well. It's my favorite day of the week. That doesn't change, even if the day is not so great sometimes. I still love it. But yeah, we started off waking up a bit too early. I woke up like an hour and a half before my alarm. I think it's because I went to bed about an hour or so before I usually do. So, technically I slept well, but like just being off that hour is already not so fun, not so great. But we, tended to what we needed to tend to. We hit up the dogs. We let them do their business. I said the other day that only one of them was barking a lot. It's both of them. I don't know why. Like they both just really want to bark. They're both just really chatty this time around. And I don't know. Maybe it's because it's a little bit colder, or there's just like the vibe of other dogs around. I don't know, but who knows? Who knows? But overall, though, it's still going well. Still going good. Post that, we came home, got ready for work. Work is still busy, still a lot going on, but like I felt like I had a good handle on everything. Everything was solid. We were just marching along, tunk, 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 tunk. And I just got like railroaded by like just a random conversation from a person. And like it took like everything in me to not want to escalate said conversation. And I just said, okay, all right. And I just like literally blocked them. I just got so upset about this thing. And that's as much as I really want to talk about that. But it completely sucker punched my day. And then like all of a sudden everything just hit really hard. Like all of a sudden I was just super tired. I was super stressed out. I felt like an overclocked computer. Like I was just so upset. And yeah, that just kind of became the day. And that's really unfortunate because I do try to say, hey, from a bird's eye, the day was good. Everything was solid. But like, I felt the week in that moment. And I was just so tired and so upset. And I just was like, I can't turn this off. Like, I have to get through this day. I left like 10 minutes earlier than I normally do, just so I could get to the dogs, handle that, and then get home. And I just fell asleep. I just was like, I need a soft reset. I need this. And I woke up and I felt better. I still had things in my mind. I was still like, ugh. And I was more upset too because now, like, I'm going to be later. It's going to offset the day. That's why, you're going to be hearing this on a Friday. But, it is what it is. We got up and I felt better. And I think that was the most important thing. And I was like, all right, let's go to the gym. So, gym was pretty good. It was nice that the Smith machine was finally open. Still very busy, but I was able to get the machines that I wanted to hit. Hit the Smith machine and then also the free weights. I will say this time, because this was a shortened workout, we just hit those two stations. I did some core work, and then we were doing cardio, 30 minutes, and then I was out. And I gotta say, it was interesting. And I've been, kind of not really so much doing research, but just watching videos as they pop up about like people who are in the gym a lot and making the switch from saying, hey, I do a lot of high reps, high volume, this, that, and I reduced it. I went to like half of it. And like actually I had a really good pump. I had a really good overall good maintenance. I even looked better, da 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 da, blah, blah, blah. And I do find that very enticing because as a person who's been going to the gym for now over a year, every single day for 2 hours, the idea of getting time back would be nice, right? No? But this week was nice to at least kind of put some of that to the test. And it did feel like overall I was able to maintain pretty well. Now, granted, obviously this isn't any kind of science or anything like that. I can't hold anything to this. But like, it felt pretty good to minimize the workout and still get something out of it. That being said, come tomorrow, because spoilers, I called off, so and that was planned. So I'm gonna have the whole day. It's just gonna be me doing dog stuff, and then I'm gonna be doing Northside stuff. It's gonna be a fucking ball. But anyway, I'm going back to full workout. I want to go back to my 2 hours, like. And maybe that's counterintuitive. Maybe that's not what we need to be doing. Like, maybe I would get more out of it if I did less. Who's to say I don't come back to this thought, this theory in the future? But what my takeaways from this, though, are that definitely when the times come, take the time off. Take the time to reduce. I'm trying to teach myself that, tell myself that. I mean, it's part of the reason why, we have this now, the schedule coming in the future, of saying, hey, every other Friday, we are just going to take off from doing gym stuff, and we're going to go hang out with friends. We're going to just be a person, because that's important to do. And this is all going to be, it's all going to come out in the wash. It's all going to be good. Consistency is key, and I'm still doing that. I still have that. So, I was stoked. My takeaways here was I was stoked that this didn't really, it wasn't a big setback. I didn't balloon to 2.0 whatever. I'm still in my 190s range. I'm still like around 195. So I love that. I'm happy about that. So knock on wood. I don't know why I did it this time, but it felt good to do. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our startup. I know I've been yapping a lot. It feels like I've been yapping a lot more this week. But hey, sometimes you gotta blog things out. That's a part of this. It's a bit of me, it's a bit of news. That's just how this goes. Anyway, and then it's me in the news, because, my takes and shit. I don't know. You know how this goes. Unless you're a new listener. If you're a new listener, hi, that's crazy. I never really think about that. But if people are like, yeah, what is this guy talking about? Whew, okay. Yeah, let's do our startup. I just had to take some water. Let's do our startup and let's get into some news. Oh, buddy. Okay. From The Guardian. More than 1,500 people displaced after typhoon remnants devastate Alaska villages. The Alaska coast was bracing for more rain and wind on Wednesday after a devastating storm decimated two small native villages, killing at least one person and displacing more than 1,500 people. Over the weekend, the remnants of Typhoon Halong hit remote communities in the Yukon Kuskokwim Delta in the southwestern part of the state, bringing fierce winds, rain, and record-breaking storm surge that caused some homes to float away. The Coast Guard rescued 24 people from their homes after the structures floated out to sea. At least one person was killed and two were missing. The hardest hit communities included Kapuknuk and a population of 715 and Kilowinnock, population 380, where the storm damaged every single home. Obviously, mea culpa on all those names, pronunciations that I fuck up. I do that all the time. But yeah, obviously it's a really, grim picture in that regard. I'm glad at least the amount of casualties, fatalities, whatever, are low that I've, at least have heard as of recording this. But obviously the devastation is still, it's really rough. Obviously on an indigenous population as well, indigenous people, it's even harder to kind of feel like come back from that. I feel like there's even less resources, especially nowadays. But hopefully, everyone is going to be safe, get to a safe place, get to a good, shelter, and then hopefully get back home, as soon as possible. So yeah, my thoughts are with those people. But let's move on though to our next story. This was some breaking news. Kind of wanted to shift some things around to cover this tonight. From NBC News, U.S. military strike on a cartel boat leaves survivors for the first time, U.S. official says. Now, I would have thought this was literally deja vu because we just covered this the other day, but there were survivors, so I was like, oh shit, no, this is definitely another one. The U.S. military carried out a strike against an alleged Venezuelan drug cartel boat Thursday in international waters in the Caribbean, and for the first time there were survivors, according to a U.S. official. The strike is at least the fifth the Trump administration has carried out against boats in international waters believed to be connected to Venezuelan drug cartels. At least 21 people were killed in four previous strikes with no survivors. NBC News reported that U.S. lawmakers have grown concerned about the lack of information the White House is provided about the operations. On Wednesday, President Donald Trump made an extraordinary admission confirming that he had authorized the CIA to take unspecified action in Venezuela. Now, this was some side news that I kind of heard, and I just didn't, was like, I already talked about this kind of, so I just was going to skip it. So I'm glad it was here in the article. That to me, though, is very wild. Like, don't get me wrong. I've already made my bones and said my piece about how I feel like this is fucked up, that we are just executing people out at sea the way we are. It's wild to even, be like almost braggadocious about the fact that I'm like, yeah, I know I greenlit some fucking CIA to get fucking buck in Venezuela. Like, that shit's fucking wild, man. But yeah, I mean, this is not technically new from Trump. What was another story I didn't cover that I feel like I definitely kind of should say now? There was a story that took place in North Korea. Maybe, I might circle back to it or talk about it maybe in like a Patreon episode or something. That would be cool. But just literally a situation, I think this was in the first Trump administration, but it came out recently that this happened, where we wanted to spy on North Korea. And we sent like some, I think CIA, FBI, whatever the fuck. I think it was CIA. I mean, I'd be dumb. But, we're doing some fucking covert shit. And we wind up killing some fishermen who were there. And because we thought like, oh, they might be spies or they might we're not supposed to be here. And so they execute these people. And they try to cover it up and then they leave. And it's like, why are we moving like this? But that was Trump 1. Obviously, this time, we're just going to tell you we're doing it. We're going to brag about it. We're going to make it like, a part of like media, like a spectacle. I know I'm just kind of fucking jumping and hopping around here. And obviously, details in terms of that other story that I'm just throwing in here. But it's fucking wild times, at Trump High. Why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? A reporter asked Trump at the White House. I authorized for two reasons, really, he replied. Number one, they have emptied their prisons into the United States of America. Okay, he's just saying that. There's no evidence of that. And the other thing are drugs, he added. We have a lot of drugs coming in from Venezuela. Okay. Once again, unsubstantiated. These are just things that we just say, and then we go about just saying, okay, well, we're doing a war on drugs, so that's why we can blow up these boats. I'm very curious what is the fate of these survivors? Like, what are they gonna have to say? That'll definitely be probably something we come back to in an update. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our next story from ABC News. Former Trump advisor John Bolton indicted on classified documents charges. Now, I didn't want to really get into the thick of this, but this is like, I think maybe our second time coming to this story. And maybe some details are important, I feel like, and I think it affects like what I kind of want to say from my grand takeaway, at least at this point. So we're gonna read. We're gonna do a little read along. So obviously, feel free if you don't want to hear me go through all this blah 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 blah. You can always fast forward. I wouldn't hurt you. I wouldn't fault you for that. Anyway, former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton was indicted by a grand jury Thursday on charges that he allegedly unlawfully transmitted and retained classified documents. The indictment, handed up by a federal grand jury in Maryland, charges Bolton with 8 counts of unlawful transmission of national defense information, as well as 10 counts of unlawful retention of national defense information. Prosecutors accused Bolton of using a non-government personal email account and messaging application to transmit at least 8 documents to unauthorized individuals that contained classified information or contain information classified at levels ranging from secret to top secret. 7 of the transmissions allegedly occurred during the time when Bolton was serving at Trump's National security advisor in 2018 and 2019, while another document was allegedly sent by Bolton just days after President Donald Trump removed him from the administration in September of 2019. For 4 decades, I have devoted my life to America's foreign policy and national security. I would never compromise those goals, Bolton said in a lengthy statement, saying the indictment is part of a pattern of Donald Trump's retribution against him since leaving Trump's administration and publishing a tell-all book. And I feel like this tell-all book is going to be, obviously, it's the main reason I think why Trump hates him. It's the reason Trump has called him a fucking sleazebag, shit like that. But I think this book might be like the biggest thing that might be, I don't want to say a downfall, but like, definitely gonna be a plot point in this whole, trial story on, retribution campaign. But let me continue. I look forward to the fight to defend my lawful conduct and to expose his abuse of power, Bolton said in a statement. The move to indict Bolton comes on the heels of indictments of former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James, as President Donald Trump continues what critics call a campaign of retribution against his perceived political foes. And I would say that this one might have I don't want to say merit, but like they might have the most chance of saying, hey, we're going to get you by the numbers on this one, bub. Like with James and Comey, I just don't think it's as tenuous. I could get into the details, but for time, we're not gonna. But, as they come up, we will. But this one, it's like, maybe. Federal agents in August searched Bolton's Maryland residence and Washington, D.C. office related to allegations that Bolton possessed classified information. Prosecutors say one document listed in the indictment reveals intelligence about future attack by adversarial group in another country. Others allegedly contain information about foreign partners sharing sensitive information with the U.S. intelligence community. Intelligence related to a foreign adversary's missile launch plans, intelligence on leaders of a U.S. adversary, and one that detailed plans of covert action by the United States government. The indictment accuses Bolton of abusing his position as national security advisor by sharing more than 1,000 pages of information in diary-like entries about his day-to-day activities with 2 recipients identified only as Individual 1 and Individual 2, who prosecutors say are Bolton's relatives. Sources told ABC News that the relatives referred to in the indictment as Individual 1 and Individual 2 are Bolton's wife and daughter. So it's like, it's family. And then I feel like they're describing it like there's some kind of like potential sources of like a leak or like potential espionage or something. And it's like, no, it's just his family. But okay. Bolton's wife was present at their home the day the search was executed nearly 2 months ago. And I feel like that's when we really bit on the story, was when this happened. It was not immediately clear which is believed to be Individual 1 or 2. Prosecutors further alleged that Bolton unlawfully retained documents, writing and notes containing national defense information ranging to levels of top secret and sensitive compartmented information at his home in Maryland, are stored both as paper files and in a number of personal devices. The indictment says that at some point after Bolton left office as National Security Advisor, a cyber actor believed to be associated with Iran hacked his personal email account and gained access to classified information he had previously emailed to his relatives. When Bolton reported the hack to U.S. authorities in July of 2021 under the Biden administration, prosecutors say he did not inform them of the allegedly sensitive national security information he shared. Which I'm like, what? So you're saying he didn't disclose enough to them? Like, there's just not... And another thing I find so funny here is like the laser-like detail that's being applied to try to get someone like John Bolton, when we literally were talking like not even a week or so ago about like someone like a Tom Homan, who is like immigration czar, who took a whole bag of cash, $50,000, and just was like, yeah, no, that's fine. You got me on record doing that. We know that happened. And FBI is not going to prosecute. DOJ is just going to shrug that shit off. But, we have Pam Bondi saying, like, no, we're going to get everyone. Everyone's going to get their proper due. Like, justice is going to get served. But it's like, if you're the right person or the wrong person. Anyway, and then also too, the irony here of like with Bolton being like, well, we're mad about the documents the documents that you kept. When we have the president who took all of the documents from his term, or at least a bunch of them, and like had them stored up in his fucking shower in Mar-a-Lago, and like we technically just didn't give a fuck about that. Like, that was a witch hunt though. Like, make it make sense. Bolton has denied ever unlawfully removing classified materials from his time in government and has said no such information was published in his 2020 memoir, The Room Where It Happened. In his statement on Thursday, Bolton said his book was reviewed and approved by the appropriate experienced career clearance officials. Regarding the 2020 email hack, Bolton said the FBI was made fully aware. So I do think that, legally, he's probably bulletproof. I would say by my legal metric, he would be. Also, I don't want to come off as I'm some kind of Bolton defender or something. This is like some shitty fucking war hawk guy. He, once again, got into the Trump administration for a fucking reason. So, like, no. Boo this man. Tomatoes for him. But between the two, in a let them fight scenario, this would be the one I'm like, yeah, I want you to win because seeing the other guy lose is going to make me happier. Like, I don't know if you want me to word it that way. But yeah, so, and plus, like, once again, on legal lines, it's just so fucking weird and it's so fucking crazy. But I would say, once again, that he's probably maybe the most likely that you could get by the number. Let's see here. There's more details, but I feel like I've summarized it enough and I'm losing my voice. So, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and just hit the fast forward button, Adam Sandler click style. By all means, feel free to read more. I'm going to take a water break, though, and then we are going to cover our next story, and it's a recall. It's about cinnamon. And guess what? There's lead. Oh, man. This is peak professional podcasting. Oh, buddy. Oh, there's nothing like it. You won't get anything better. No, even my Trump impression is really weak right now. All right, from CBS News. Is the cinnamon on your shelf safe? The FDA says the 16 brands contain elevated levels of lead. Certain brands of one of the country's most popular spices, cinnamon, can be hazardous to your health. In the last week, the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, has identified 4 additional makers of ground cinnamon it says contained elevated levels of lead. In all, the agency has listed 16 labels as having concerning amounts of lead. And the new additions include Hate, Rashni, Dura, and Wise Wife. Now, we're not going to go through the whole list of them. I really just wanted to add that, there's lead in the cinnamon, and I feel like we did one of these in either this year or last year. They do mention, though, in 2023 there was an applesauce situation. I definitely remember covering that, and I was like, okay, yeah. In 2023, the agency launched an investigation to find the source of tainted cinnamon in applesauce pouches that caused hundreds of children to get lead poisoning. But yeah, that was a whole recall moment, and I remember covering that. So, so there's buyer beware. Definitely come check the list on CBS News or probably Consumer Report. They probably have it as well. You can just Google. It's a thing. But yeah, definitely throw it out if you do happen to have any of this cinnamon with the lead in it. That's no good. Bad. That's icky. But yeah, let's move on though to our next and last story. It is also a recall, and it is rice related. And it's actually another reason I was drawn to cover these is because I don't use these products specifically, but I do use. I eat a lot of rice, obviously a lot of chicken and rice, and then maybe this is a Cincinnatian in me, or I'm just weird and quirked up in my own way. I put cinnamon in a lot of food. I put a cinnamon in my rice. I put cinnamon in my chili. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm revealing this to you. These are my confessions, my cinnamon confessions. But no, yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like mixing it either with like salt or sugar. It's a nice little thing. Anyway, don't worry about that. Let's go ahead and take the last break, and then I will go ahead and close it out before my throat closes up. Hence, like it would if I ate a bunch of raw cinnamon. There you go. Full circle. Bam. I do talk shit about the Joe Rogans of the world, the Lex Friedmans, all those yappity yappers. But talking for like over fucking 30 minutes, that shit is not easy. Look, okay? I don't know. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. Our last story comes from CBS News. Ben's original recalls some rice products due to possible presence of small stones. That's not yummy. Ben's Original is recalling a limited number of rice products due to the possible presence of small stones, according to federal health officials. In an announcement shared by the U.S. FDA Tuesday, officials said the stones are naturally occurring and originate from the rice farm, but they pose possible risk of oral or digestive tract injury if consumed. That is the most corpo ass fucking response ever. That's so fucked. Hey, this is some shit from the earth, much like lead, okay? So like, don't. Hey, I see you pointing fingers, and you should point fingers at the ground, cause that's where it came from. Bitch, ain't supposed to be no stones in my rice. I'm sorry, that's crazy. Like reading that statement out loud, I would be like, no. If I swallowed a fucking rock or my child swallowed a fucking rock from fucking Ben's rice, this is my Spider-Man origin story. I'm coming for you, okay? Like, I'm ghost riding the whip to your house. Shut up. That statement sucks. Boo. L statement. Anyway, it's Ben's original ready rice, long grain white rice. They got a whole grain brown rice, and long grain and wild rice. And I'm not going through all the batch codes and numbers. You can obviously look those up in the expiration dates. If you think that you might have bought this rice, buyer beware. You know what to do. Toss that shit. Go get your refund. Obviously, same thing with the cinnamon. I don't know why I wanted to do that, but I did. But if for the cinnamon, you take that shit back, or so help me. But yeah, no, be careful out there, y'all. They're putting rocks in the rice. What the fuck? Anyway, that's the episode. That's really all I have. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. All the stars are appreciated on Spotify or Apple Podcast. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.